and welcome back to the Rugby Connection podcast. Sorry we're a bit later this week, but Harry's with work, I've got a family. Sometimes you just have to push things to the side, and also Harry did need a cooler period after last weekend's actions. But we're here now. We're going to do a little thing over the last games in the Southern Hemisphere and then do like an overall review of how we felt each team has done. Joining me, as always, is Harry. How are you getting on, mate?
Yeah, good mate. It's good now that I've called off, as we say. Sort of forgotten the heartbreak of the round ball tournament and football. Sorry for anyone. Round ball is just what I used to call it with someone I used to know as a joke. It's been a good week, but obviously it took a bit of time just to make sure everything was right. People are busy. Like it's okay. Like we're here now. We're here now,
Yeah.
and we're going to summarize.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So let's not waste any time. Round three, the final round of the Southern Hemisphere series. I love the way it's Southern series, Northern series. It's not just round one, round two, round three. It's fun. I like it. Anyway, final round of the Southern series started off with the Fortress of Eden remaining intact. All Blacks 40, Ireland 21, and honestly, I feel like that might have flattered Ireland. Genuinely.
Yeah, yeah. I do. I think that scoreline does slightly flatter Ireland. I mean, yes, we can talk about a few of the inconsistencies with the refereeing, with certain decisions, certain knock-ons or not knock-ons, or were they deliberate or were they not deliberate, or yellow cards or red cards. But realistically, I think we even said it on the pod that we neither one of us really saw Ireland going to beat New Zealand at Eden Park, especially this iteration of Ireland, where they are in a bit of a transition period, and I think they are trying to manage players to get to the next World Cup. So they've got one last chance of trying to do it. But yeah, I mean, all I can really say is that New Zealand just look good. They
They do.
look they've they've gone back to type. They've gone back to playing a running game, skills out the wazoo, big physical forwards. Like it's one of those things where oh, okay, I'm watching New Zealand, but I could be watching New Zealand in 1995 or New Zealand in 2011. No, it's 2026. And it's like, oh, cool. So yeah, I think they've just looked great. Their running game looks exceptional. The skills, the balance that they're finding with certain positions while still rotating and trying to find the team. Obviously, the first week we thought, okay, they look great, but there's an element of maybe like getting used to stuff. But they've looked really impressive, and they are the only team apart from South Africa to have three wins from three currently. Whether that changes or not in the
Well, we could
autumn,
do, yeah, I mean, we could do it like that. We could just talk about the teams that we've just mentioned and do their review like that. That'd be quite easier.
yeah, go on, let's do that.
Yeah, so New Zealand are exactly where they want to be, and honestly, where they should be. It is the All Blacks, regardless of new coaches or new players or anything. It's still the All Blacks. It's still held in such high regard, and they're absolutely cruising it now.
Yeah,
And
they're
it's fun. I do have a weird question though, and not about New Zealand overall, just one player in particular. I
mm.
think I mentioned Stuart. Is Fahey Fene still coming over to the Prem?
So this is the confusing thing because obviously we've heard all of this stuff about how potentially he won't be coming over anymore, that he'll be signing on with New Zealand. They're trying to get him out of his contract. Obviously,
Yeah.
everything from the player has been, I'm leaving it to my agent, I'm not getting involved. Um, from what I understood, similar to Geordie Barrett's deal and maybe Rico Ioane's, I can't quite remember what his was. He's meant to be coming over in the January. So he would have had this whole season with the All Blacks if he was to get picked, where he plays some of the games, all of the games, none of the games, and then come January, once the Northern Hemisphere part of the tournament and the finals weekend is done, he would then have a little bit of a break and he would then go to Newcastle. But obviously, Newcastle have now signed Bernard Koch as a
Mm.
potential replacement, but then they've also lost Joji, the Fijian Drua winger, because he's not coming
Yeah.
over anymore. So it's a bit like not entirely sure what is going on there. And if I well, this is something that I will say. I actually don't think that they're going to pick him, New Zealand. I think everyone has been. I think
Yeah,
everyone has been clamoring for Finnegan. And personally, I think that they'd rather go with Josh Morby, who we forget also broke the record before they got it out and
yeah.
out.
I think no, they've got us tied. They've both got
Oh, they both got it. Okay, so I
it.
think that they're. I think they want to stick with Josh Morby because the way that they look like to be playing at the minute, if I do a very quick, like semi-tactical analysis,
Okay.
the way that the All Blacks are playing in this multi-phase running game is playing to their strengths because we always associate New Zealand with, oh, silky skills, running game, offload, ridiculous. And the way that they are playing with essentially a ball player at 9 in Cam Roigard, a ball player at 10 in Ruben Love, a ball player at 12 in Geordie Barrett, Damien McKenzie's a ball player at 15. Will Jordan really is a fullback, but is an elite level winger. He's a ball player as well. He's a ball handler. Josh Morby is also apparently more of a fullback than he is a winger. You have then got a back line that has the capability to just completely go east to west or north, or just going straight north with players who have got such a high skill level that it doesn't matter who's got the ball, they're going to be able to deliver a killer pass. And you can't say that for a lot. Well, you can't say that about every single elite level test winger. There are some wingers that are incredible at scoring tries at the test level. But you ask them to ball play, it's going to be a bit shaky, not naming names. But having Morby on the wing with a Will Jordan and a Barrett and a Love and a McKenzie means that any time you've got the ball, you are constantly creating something. You're constantly creating pressure. So
Mm.
at the minute, Josh Morby looks like he fits that sort of tactical system a bit more rather than potentially playing a Finnegan Ofo, who is potentially more of your classic winger of like, I'm going to beat the man, I'm going to step the man, I'm going to run over the man, I'm going to gas the man. So
Yeah.
that's my theory as to why at the minute I think they like him, but I think he's only played one game, isn't it? Did he start one or did he come off the bench? And then Morby,
Yeah. No, he came off the bench, but Morby's featured
he's
more.
he's featured in I think three of the games. I want to say,
No, I think he
or
only. No, I think he
two.
didn't. I don't. He didn't do the France game.
No,
Came
because
off the bench
he
against
came off.
Italy and
Yes,
started against Ireland. There you
yeah,
go.
he came on for Leroy Carter and got two assists on debut, and then he
Yeah.
played the full. So at the minute, Morby looks
Yeah.
like the favourite. So it's a long story short. The Finnegan factor. I think there's a chance that he does still go to Red Bulls, but at the minute, his contract is still up in the air
Yeah. Fair
as it
enough.
was due to start in January.
But overall, considering it's been basically a complete overhaul at the All Blacks, and they're 3 for 3, and apart from the France game, they have won very convincingly.
Yeah,
It is
very.
a very good sign, and it's going to be interesting what comes next. But we'll go into that in a little while. Ireland. How do we rate Ireland's summer? Because yes, they had 2 wins going into the final weekend. They beat Japan, they beat Australia, but they were pushed quite hard in both those games.
I said this previous weeks. I think the best way to describe Ireland is clunky. They're a team in transition, so they're not quite sure what's going on because there's still confusion about who plays 10. In my opinion, it is Jack Crowley when he is fit. I think that he's shown that he's got the best top 2 inches in terms of mentality. He's got the goal kicking ability. He's got the defensive nous that is better than Prendergast, although Prendergast has been better and he's been throwing himself about a bit more. But I still think that Crowley is the one to go for realistically
Yeah,
because I think he just has more experience. A lot of their guys have played a lot of rugby and they're north of 30. So not that when players are north of 30 they can't play anymore, but obviously they're starting to slow down. They've given a
no,
lot to the jersey, like guys like Tyke Byrne, Josh van der Fleer, Tyke Furlong, even like James Ryan to an extent. Like you've got a lot of these lads, Jack Conan, a lot of these lads who are getting on. And I think Ireland is still in the mindset of we need to manage our players' minutes to get them to the World Cup. So they are potentially holding on a bit too tight to certain players. I am not retiring some of these players. Some of them are not some of them. They are all still elite level players, but it just looks like they're a bit clunky. They're a bit not quite as polished as they used to be. It's not the same sort of, oh my God, how the hell are we going to deal with this? They're slowing down, but then they're also transitioning to the next generation. So when guys like more like Craig Casey come through, or Sam Illo, or Janssen, or Billy Bowen, or Postlethwaite, or the Ward brothers are starting to break through. Like that will be when we start to see some real changes. But I think it's good that Ireland have started to build more depth outside of the current crop. But I think potentially they were lucky against Australia because it was a missed kick to win the game. All the controversy
Yeah.
around the fact that they've asked Japan to play in Australia rather than travel to Japan, whereas
Yeah.
everyone else had to pretty much travel around, like Italy had to do it. And Italy traveled to all three of those countries. And then obviously, the British nations in England, Wales, and Scotland have gone from their Fiji home game to Argentina and South Africa. And then this one where they were just a bit unconvincing. Although I will say some of the refereeing decisions they can absolutely complain about, like the Jacobson yellow card. In my opinion, was a
Yeah.
red card.
I was
He's
gonna,
off his
yeah.
feet. He's flying.
Hmm.
It's shoulder to head. Doesn't matter if there's no HIA. It doesn't matter if there's no blood on the player. He's still gone off his feet and shoulder to the head. That is a red card. I've seen that given so many times. I don't
Yeah.
understand why it wasn't.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
deliberate knock on from Quincy Pyer was a bit weird because obviously because then again you look at the England game, there was about three in there where they all got yellow carded, and that arguably looked worse. I think, but also I think Prendergast slapped the ball down at one point. So it's the refereeing decisions in that game were very inconsistent. But I don't think, even though I don't think it would have done a lick of difference because I don't think they were good enough to win on the day.
No, looking back, I don't think Ireland could get a foot in the game against the All Blacks. They managed to show grit and determination to get that win against Australia, and they managed to rotate and still get a convincing victory at the end of the day against Japan.
Mm,
So, 2 out of 3 wins is great. Is it the way they wanted those wins? Probably not. But
no,
I don't think a coach like Andy Farrell is going to let those slide either.
no. I think they've done exactly what they needed to do to be in the best possible position for when the teams come to them in the autumn. I mean, they're second, and I think they're second or third, or I don't actually know because it's quite tight in the Northern Hemisphere table.
Give me a second. I will check now.
I believe it's France on 12, Scotland on 10, England on 10, Ireland on 10. But because of
11.
Scotland on 11,
Yep.
oh,
Yeah,
okay. So,
we've got two BP victories.
oh, so that's 12 for France, 11 for Scotland, 10 for England, 10 for Ireland, and England are ahead on points scored because of the Fiji game, I believe.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think from what I can remember of the table. But yeah, they've put themselves in a good position for the autumn, and hopefully for them, they can get another two wins, or maybe even three, and put themselves at an opportunity of finishing as high as possible to hope maybe get that first spot for them. But I think it's going to be very difficult because obviously, and what I think is the next game
Yep.
was France Japan. France were
I was
obviously
a bit. I was kind of disappointed in this, not because France aren't a good team, because they're fantastic and their depth. If we're comparing to the box, they are the closest ones depth wise, and there's still a big gap between those two
yeah. If
as
you
well.
look at player pool and depth, because I believe that those are two separate things.
They are absolutely. But
France are the closest to South Africa in terms of like real depth that you could throw
yeah,
into the team at any point.
but that gap's still massive
But
between
the
South
gap is
Africa and
still,
France.
yeah, the gap is
Yeah,
still fairly large. But
but
they are the
yeah,
closest to it. Yeah,
but saying that again, 2 out of 3 wins, a narrow loss to the All Blacks
they
with
could
a
have won that
heavily
game.
rotated team. They got quite a convincing win and a very good comeback against Australia as well. And
Mm,
then we're effectively in cruise control against Japan.
Yeah, I think the thing that we can learn with that French team is that you now have the option. I think forward pack wise, France are filled with monsters. Like
Yeah.
they have got one of the best depth in the forward pack at the world. I think at tight head, there's still a bit. There's a few question marks because I don't think they're entirely sure who to replace Winnie Antonio with. So that's a bit like they need to figure out who is the best option there. They've got plenty of big like carcasses at tight head, but they need to figure that out. But I mean, you had guys like Miafu there, you had like Lenny Nucci there, you had Oscar Jegu, you've got Gazzotti getting an option. So they are building some real options rather than just the Toulouse pack and then the Bordeaux backline. Like you've got guys like Frau Barry was really coming on,
Yeah.
despite also playing at 13, which is not his natural position. And even though some people say that 12 and 13 isn't that different, it can be, especially when you've gone your whole life playing one and then all of a sudden, oh, I've now got to play this. Oh, my role is slightly different. Like you've got, I mean, you didn't have Tom Ramos or you didn't have BLBRA. You got Damien Penaud back. You got Atasogbe. You now also have a legitimate way of potentially playing Untamack and Jalibert together.
Yes, I'm glad you said
Yeah,
that. 'Cause I'm
having
thinking, yeah, it's kind of like the Rubinov McKenzie aspect. You could
yeah,
just kind of interchange them during plays just to confuse opposition, and it fits.
exactly,
Jalabert
and
looks
it's the
very
same.
comfortable
He
at
does,
fullback. Yeah.
and the thing is that is actually quite interesting is that even when France play with say an Untamack or a Ramos or a Jalibert and a Ramos,
Mm,
the structure of what they are doing is fairly similar. You have
yeah.
got like if Jalabert wants to be like wider out in the channels, like to potentially distribute in the 15 channels, Ramos has stepped up and played 10 at times as well. So all
Yeah.
that means is that Jalabert could do the same, and because Ntamack has played in the centres, he could step out on ball play. Or the way that France play with their dual playmaker at 10 and 15 is so interesting because the amount of times where Ramos will step up and play 10, or Jalibert, what he did, will step up and play 10, but
Mm,
will still be dropping back to play 15 and still being there to manage the backfield to an extent. But this is the thing that there was always this conversation of if you wanted to, could you play Untamack and Jalibert together? Now there is. And then
yeah.
Luku has now had more time in the saddle with Untamack. So it just means that France are building more and more options for them to potentially, well, I think they're the favourites to finish in the top seed for the northern part of the tournament. I think it just means that they go into the Six Nations again next year as serious contenders. They've now sent loads of these young players away on the tour, so it means that come Australia World Cup in about 18 months, they're going to be okay. So I think for France, they can be really, really happy with what they've done. And despite the whole
Yeah.
noise about Sean Edwards leaving as well.
True. And they've actually kind of conceded less in a way
Yeah,
compared to the Six Nations.
which is strange.
But that's a different story for another day because I think there's been rumblings about that for a while, in fairness.
Yes.
So, but yeah, France are in very good nick. Um, there was one winger you forgot to mention, Oren Grunderier in Canang. Oh my
Ah,
God! And again, like everyone was fixated on Louis Berry, and I'm like, Teo Hatasogbe and
Taylor.
Incanan
So yeah,
is unreal, and they don't look out of place, and that's the frightening bit when you talk about your France and your South Africas. You could put teams out, and you're like, oh, right, that's not any easier.
this is when a system and a culture and a coaching setup, I
Yeah,
believe personally, really impact like how you see a team.
yeah,
Because
I
we
agree.
will get to South Africa later on, but this kind of encapsulates them as well. The fact that you can have such a rotated team with some players who haven't played loads of international rugby, some who played loads, but you can put a team out there with a very varied mix of ability, but they all know how to play your system and
Yeah,
still get the best out of it. That is what truly separates great coaches and great players from good coaches and good players. And this is why, again, I say that depth is different to player pool. Because I'll briefly say this, you've got France, England, and South Africa probably have the biggest player pool. But in terms of who has got real top quality depth that can just slot into your system, England is here, France and South Africa are here because you can put more players into your system that don't look out of place. Whereas I don't think England have that same luxury as these two teams, not to the same extent. I don't think you would see players be as comfortable as the French have
Yeah,
been
yeah,
or as the South Africans have been.
yeah.
And
So it
it's
has to come down to coaching then. It has to.
yeah, it's got to be a system issue, not issue. It's got to be a systematic thing. I was trying to think of a better word than thing, but a systematic influence.
The
That
players are
means that
bought in.
those
Yeah,
players can elevate themselves
yeah.
because they have been given the structure to let them shine. They understand exactly what it is that they need to do. And that's what we've seen out of France and what we've seen out of South Africa. But that is to come in the future.
Um, Japan.
They've
Now
both,
we've not seen. We don't get to see Japan often because, despite being effectively in the northern hemisphere, if you look at a map, they're very southern hemisphere related.
yeah, time zones definitely help that. And the fact that there are so many Kiwis and Aussies who go up there, the
Yeah,
Fijians,
but they're
like,
also just like they're so far away from like everyone else.
yeah,
We just don't think about it. But you're getting to see players like Warner Downs. It's been a week since we've not mentioned them, so there you go.
oh God, you've got to wait one of Burns.
Like Warner Downs, who has been balling out, but he's also then came over in the public eye because he went to Super Rugby with the Hurricanes. But you've still got
Mm,
players like Ben Gunter. You've got Ito, the young fly half, fresh out of
university fly off,
university.
yeah.
You've got Dylan Riley. Dylan Riley is a great centre, but no
Yep.
one talks about him because he's in Japan.
I do think that the language barrier definitely doesn't help with that. That because so many of us don't speak Japanese largely, and I would assume our audience, it's difficult to sometimes have that. Like I occasionally have heard like, oh, Artie Surveyor's done this in Japan. I've heard Brody Retalic's done this in Japan. I don't overly hear the Japanese players, and it's a
Yeah.
shame because Japan play a style of rugby that is so unique to them. Like
Mm.
unbelievable speed of ball, an unbelievable pace in the way that they're playing. I mean, yes, obviously they've got Warner Burns, who is a residency player because he grew up in Japan, and Harry Hockings has played there for a number of years as well. So obviously there is still a mix of like you've got the expat community that's in Japan as well as the ethnically Japan players. But I honestly think in the same way that sometimes because we see France in the Six Nations and we
Yeah.
see Italy in the URC, we can just relate to them a bit more because we it's more in our field of vision. But because Japan is, as you said, it's so far away, we don't get to see enough of them, despite the fact that they are on like Premier Sports and everything. But I've
I know, but
been
the times that, and again, it's
yeah,
because the world's
time
round and
zones,
all
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that.
It's like
I remember watching sorry to interrupt. I remember watching a URC game, and it's like, don't miss out, Premier Sports. This is the channel for rugby at 4 a.m. Is like Kobe. I'm like, who's? I'm sorry, who's getting up at 4 a.m.?
yeah. Well, if you're
And
on the
then, but
night shift,
again, the last thing, if you've just had a long shift and or you've got young kids, the last thing you're actually wanting to do is watch rugby that time. Like personally, I get a kick out of watching Super Rugby because I'm getting like my oldest ready for school, and it's quite funny because he then gets confused. Like, wait, why is there rugby on? And it's quite fun.
well,
But
you see, some of these things called time zones.
then I'm not getting up with my youngest. Like if my youngest gets up, I'm not being like, oh yes, I can watch the Kobe Steelers game. I couldn't care less. I'm half asleep at that point. And that's
Yeah,
again, that's not their problem. It's a me problem. It's an us
yeah.
problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think I really appreciate the way that Japan play rugby because they don't
Yeah.
just because at its heart, rugby union is an evasion game. Like the whole point is that you're meant to get away from the tackle to find the space to score a try. So that's why when we've repeatedly sort of gone towards the realms of collision game, some people don't love it. And that's why you get some older lads talk about how rugby back at this time was better because there was less structure and you could just run like crazy and score really cool tries. But that's besides the point. But I love the fact that Japan play the game almost like an evasion game with incredible speed of ball, and they have a style and identity that's unique to them, and I can really appreciate that. And I have really, from what I have seen in Japan, I've really enjoyed it. I've really liked it, and I think that maybe results wise with Eddie Jones, it's not been as good as it could have been. But I feel like with a lot of things that Eddie Jones does, he plays the long game when everyone is concerned with the short game. But I think Japan, that win against Italy was comprehensive. And I think that
Oh yeah.
Japan have done a great job, despite the fact that they also had to go to Australia as well and then
Mhm.
go back home, which was
Not easy.
that still winds me up that that happened. And
I mean, don't get me wrong, I still probably would have backed Ireland to get the job done in Japan,
yeah,
but
but at least it
it's the
would have
principle.
been,
Yeah.
yeah, it would have been to like 25 to 30,000 Japanese fans rather than 8,000 fans, which, by the way, is less than a Harlequins game.
Less
Less
than
than
that,
a,
it's just above an Edinburgh game.
but that's ridiculous. An
Yeah.
international game between Ireland and Japan, who, bearing in mind, in 2019, Japan beat Ireland
Yep.
in the World Cup, in their
Yep.
home World Cup. That
Mm-hmm.
game should be played to 30,000 Japanese fans, not 8,000 Japanese fans in Australia. Like,
I
yeah,
don't even
but
think it
there's
worked out. I get what you're saying though.
I would give massive props to Japan because I think that they have done brilliantly with what they have had. And yes, we can be a bit disappointed that they lost to France.
I think,
But realistically, they beat Italy very convincingly. They pushed Ireland all the way, and then they just got beat by a better team in France. So
yeah,
yeah,
overall,
and we got to see more of Warner Burns, who we love.
of course, that's always a bonus. This year is the year of the Derns.
The year of the Duns. Let's get in that world 15 of the year position because I really want it for him now.
I really want it as well. But I think when the Nations Championship got first announced, and I was like, oh, it's the Six Nations, it's the Rugby Championship, it's Fiji, and then you go, it's Japan, and everyone, okay, makes sense. And we kind of did write off, like, oh, Japan's there, good for them.
Yeah,
And they've actually shown they deserve to be here.
yeah.
I'm actually going to argue you can't make the same case for who we're going to talk about next. Italy. Oh my God. You have lost. You beat Scotland and England in the Six Nations. You are building momentum. You have some awesome players. You've got
You've
players
competed
balling
with
out in the Prem.
France.
You competed with France. You've got players that are some are deemed the best in their position. You've got players winning league titles in England and in France, and yet you have lost all that this summer because you have been absolutely thumped every single game.
They have been, quite frankly, pathetic.
It
And
has.
this
Yeah.
is the issue that people have had with Italy for years, and it's
Yep.
why Georgia were campaigning for years to get
Mhm.
into the Six Nations because they did this, and it's just they've got really stupid red cards. They've had
Oh my God. I mean,
like the Canone,
literally,
like
Mark
why like
Riccioni. He
two
wasn't
red
even.
cards. We England people talk about England having a discipline problem. We're not getting guys sent off for flying headfirst into a ruck or for fighting on the touchline when you've been substituted off. Like I cannot. I'm so disappointed with Italy. I am so disappointed with Italy because they have got some like you think about the backline players that they've got like Brex, Menoncello, Liner, Lemon Ioane. You've got like Michele Lamero. I mean, I know Seb Negri's not there, but Seb Negri, the Canone brothers, Riccioni, who did get sent off. But then you've got like Ferrari, who again I know is not there. Dima Bartolomeu. Like there is some I mean,
Class players, yeah.
Andrea Zambenin, where's he been? We talked him up in the first week. I don't want to single him out, but
No, no, no. But
the way that we hyped him and Warner Dunn's battle up
yeah,
for him to just, where's that extra Chiefs form? And then it's just gone. And then Gonzalo Quesada is getting bans for like criticizing refereeing decisions, which is a bit of a murky area in itself because we don't actually know what he said. But the fact that he's getting a 2 match ban, and is that then reflecting in his players? Like it's so unbelievably disappointing because again, and I'll talk about this in another section. All the goodwill that you have had built up for you by all of these other teams, and you've then let everyone down. You've let
yeah. I was just going to
everyone
say that.
down
I was,
by just before. Because also, Italy half the time will, like France, will send loads of young kids on the tours to gain them experience. They took so many of their first choice players that they previously
they
didn't
were
have.
full noise, yeah.
Yeah. And they shut the bed.
This is a bit that makes, and again, it's not a proper rivalry at the end of the day, but there is a bit of like give and take with the North and the South.
Yes.
And like, if you lose to Italy, you're an absolute joke. That's how the Southern Hemisphere perceive it. And
Yeah.
we have spent so many years to be like, well, no, it's not actually that bad to lose to Italy now because of where they're going. And then they have performances like this, and I'm like, I see your point.
Yeah. Like if that's your representation of Italy in the Southern Hemisphere, then you absolutely have an opportunity to critique it. But like even if you think that in the autumn, Italy played New Zealand and
Yeah.
were very competitive with them at points. Italy beat Australia in the autumn. They then played those two teams again. They got curb stomps.
Yep.
Like
Thing
it's
is,
just
this is a very concerning bit. I'm looking at towards November of who Italy are hosting. They might win one, genuinely one if they're lucky. They start against South Africa. You're not winning that. Scratch that
no.
right
But
away.
but again, they were competitive against South Africa last year. They were really good. They're not doing it now, not based on what we've seen.
Not based on, yeah, remain. This is based on what we've seen.
Yeah.
Anything could happen come November. But for right now, for what we've been given, they're no chance. Round five, Argentina. No, there is no way that Italy team, from what we've had this summer, will get a sniff
Mm,
on Argentina. Yes,
I might
Argentina's been
slight
a bit shaky,
I
but
might slightly disagree with you there.
I
I
don't
think
think that Italy have a chance there. I think
uh,
Italy's only chance of a win this year is when they take on Fiji in round six. Maybe depending on who they get in the finals weekend, but even that's a big if.
yeah, well, they could finish sixth and play Fiji again
Fiji.
if Fiji finish sixth, because I think that's currently where the two teams are. I want to say, yeah, I think that is. But
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yeah, and
yeah,
and we were slagging off. We were talking about Fiji's massive. Well, we've not actually got into that yet, but Fiji are on minus 96 points, like points on the points
points
scored.
difference.
Points difference.
Wow.
Italy are on minus 94.
Oh
You're
wow.
you're equally as shit.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing how passionate we are talking about Italy, considering neither one of us are remotely Italian.
I was going to say I don't have any Italian heritage to
Yeah,
my
no,
knowledge. Yeah,
no, neither do I. But it's just you look at it, and it's just it's. I think it's just on the basis of we're just really disappointed because we've seen
yeah,
Italy do class things, like in a similar way to how Italy and Fiji are actually remarkably similar. They've got one or two teams, basically one for Italy. Realistically, I'm not slagging off Zebra,
uh,
but
yeah, I know, yeah.
Benetton are where most of their players are. They then have loads of top players playing in England, in France, and then in like the URC as well. Same as Fiji. They've got loads of players in France and England and in the top leagues. So they have a basis of the club team that is there. So they have continuity there. And then they've got the top players playing in some of the best clubs in the world. And then they deliver that.
Yeah.
Like,
It's very disappointing. Yeah,
like
it is.
they're not mugs, but they perform like it,
Yeah,
which is bad. But on the but to so we stop being negative. If we give Australia credit, they played well. Joe Schmidt's last game, they played well. They
Oh
did what
yeah,
they needed to do. At times, it's like, okay, this is what you wanted to do, Australia, all the times that you've played. Cool. We know that you've got it in you. And they're actually probably a lot further on than we think. They've just results don't always back it up. But I think, yeah, I think Australia just they played the game well. They got a couple of guys back from injury. I mean, Josh Cannon, Josh Cannon
yeah,
scores a hat trick.
yeah.
Like, I think he's not played second row loads, or correct me if I'm wrong. Is he like a back row who's playing second row, or is he actually a second row?
I'm sure he does both, but continue.
Okay, so he's a bit of a hybrid lock. He's got a hat trick for Australia, which no one has ever done, not even John Eales. Like, he's scored a hat trick after the game, immediately
But
drug tested because they're like, "How the hell did you do that?"
do you know
If
what? I
anything,
actually rate it.
that's a brilliant story. And like, okay, mate, how did you ball out? How did you ball out there? We need to drug test you.
It's also the fact
Really?
that they
Okay.
call it a random. It's not random because you've just said a second row for the first time in 127 years of Australian rugby scored a hat trick. Yeah, no, come here, you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No. You're getting drug tested. What have you taken? Nothing.
but yeah,
Nothing, mate. I don't have anything. Come here.
what you said is a perfect sending off for Joe Schmidt. Although saying that, this block has been terrible. I will say that.
He's
I,
got
I
the same win percentage as Dave Rennie, and Dave Rennie got sacked and slated for it.
Now Dave Rennie's balling out 100%.
Yeah, but then also Joe Schmidt also went to New Zealand with Fozzie, and actually they did ball out occasionally.
So it's Australia's problem compared to New Zealand. But
Yeah,
no, but
but it's a Kiwi coach coaching New Zealand, so there's probably an element of like, the manner is here. I'm going to
oh,
elevate my level.
oh God, you sound like Campese when you said that. Check out that interview because he does actually say that, like near enough word for word.
I did not know that. I was not quoting that.
Man is not a fan of like outsiders coaching national teams. Like, shut up, shut up. Anyway, that's a different story. But
Yeah,
I did not enjoy doing that interview. Just let's say that. No, but Australia's summer, winter to them. I It's been so frustrating because they were very comfortable in the lead against Ireland, shat the bed in the second half.
hmm
Pulled it a bit closer. They did kind of redeem themselves near the end, but
they missed it
effectively
with a kick at goal. That can happen. It's a
it
shame.
can happen. But they also should have been a lot further ahead based on that first half performance. Then the France game, where France were not even remotely close to where the
No,
Wallabies were, and they got beat. I think it was 30 points to 5 in that second half.
yep,
Sorry, that is a complete bottle.
it's a clusterfuck.
And that's why I think at the time I asked you, I don't think I said it on the pod, but I did ask you like through Messenger, is this just Joe Smith? Like, well, I retire next week. I couldn't care less.
I wouldn't say that because
But
he's a
seeing this
professional.
result, but seeing this result tells me no, that wasn't the case.
I think it just speaks to the fact that Australia is wildly inconsistent,
Yeah,
and
that's fair.
that's like it's like what I've said before about Australia. They've got a good line out. They've got a decent set piece that is competitive. They're not going to dominate at the scrum, but they can hold it there. They've got they've got a great back line. They've got intelligent players. Maybe they don't have all the physicality in the world, but they are a team that knows how to play rugby. And when they play rugby, they are great. They are a force to be reckoned with. But the problem
Yeah,
is they don't turn up enough. But they turned up
they
this week. They turned
they
up
did.
this
They
week because
absolutely did.
Italy had the number of them on two games now that was embarrassing for them because they just put in
So
no performances whatsoever.
what's
So they've
embarrassing
then
is
gone and embarrassed them.
we had Italy to win.
Yeah, I did suggest that. And I think one of our rugby pass correspondent friends in Finn Morton was
Ah.
very disappointed. He was very disappointed in what I was saying, and I had to apologise to him.
What's
But
worse is you convinced me. If you're watching this episode, go back and watch last week. Harry lays it all out on the table, and I go, you know what? I'll rate that, and I double down on it. Idiot! I'm not listening to you. No, I'm kidding.
So was it no? We're more. It's more that we're just not believing in Italy again. I think that's the problem.
No, yeah, I'm finished with it. I'm done
We're done. No more.
until we get
Yeah,
an Italian on the show. Then we change things.
yeah. Then we've just got to ask what happened in the summer, and then
Yeah,
yeah. But anyway, like I'll give full credit to Australia. They performed
they were
really
great.
well. I think now that it's the perfect send off for Joe Schmidt, and now obviously Les Kiss is coming in, and they've got the Japan tour with a couple of interesting squad decisions. If we want to talk about that,
So okay, we'll go straight back in. We'll
Lucan
do that. Let's do that.
Salakaia-Lotto straight back in as soon as Les Kiss is at the helm, and he's even posted a few bits and pieces about I'm back, something like that, and it's yeah, it's just again, I don't want to put words in mouths. I don't want to start rumors. I don't want to make things a big issue, but
You're going to.
there just must have been a disagreement between Lucan and Joe Schmidt because certain coaches always have a thing where they don't like a particular player, they don't rate them for any
Yep.
which way, and they don't want to pick them, and that's fine.
I
Eddie
think that
Jones had it with certain England players that he didn't want to pick. And then
Christ,
Steve Borthwick picked them, and we were like, oh, they're really good. Like, it's not
yeah.
a silly thing. It's just coaches see far more than we do. In the same way that Les Kiss has seen Lucan for about 2, 3 seasons, ever since he left Northampton, come to the Reds. So he sees him every week and he loves him. Schmidt has
Yeah.
seen him in certain instances and he's like, I don't know, I don't love it. So he wants to pick other people.
I feel like this was that he was actually the main talking point for every time like Schmidt and Kiss would meet up, like and exchange like plans going forward.
Why aren't you picking Lucan, mate? Oh, I don't like him. Okay, I'm going to pick him though. All right,
But
okay. I'm
but just
not
it
bothered.
gets to the point like the coffee's getting spilt everywhere because they're like, "What do you mean you don't like him? Look what he
Yeah,
does here." And Joseph don't like him. Just
yeah,
don't care.
but it is just that thing. I mean, I've said this before about the Joe Schmidt era, is that I didn't think that he was the best selector. And this is going back to the Lions tour that there were certain players I'm like, I do not understand why you were not selecting him. But in the same
Yeah,
way that Australia lack a bit of like backline experience, like real level headed,
yeah.
and like why aren't you involving Curtly Beale? Why aren't you potential? Well, now Bernard Foley is back. Why are you not involving him in the camp for the argument of experience? Whatever you say about his playing ability, why are you not getting a James O'Connor involved? What do you mean that you didn't know that James O'Connor was back in Australia? You've had troubles
Yeah,
at 10.
yeah, yeah,
It's a
yeah.
bit like, what's going on here? Like, and it's the thing that it didn't always feel like Schmidt was fully aligned with selection on who were the best players to utilize. And I do feel like from certain media that I've heard in Australia, that's something that people are talking about a lot. So
Fair enough.
as long as Les Kiss can build on the foundations that Schmidt has had, can put his
Yeah.
own stamp with his own selection, I think Australia will definitely be competitive in the autumn and next year. I'm certainly worried about not no, not worried. Too big a word. I'm certainly concerned with what performance they could put out against England in the autumn, especially considering 2 years ago with that batshit crazy game,
Uh-huh.
which I was there for, and then last year, which we largely controlled it. I'm very intrigued to see what happens because the England Australia rivalry, the head to head is pretty much even still. After England had that little bit of dominance, then Australia got a couple of wins. That's definitely a game in the autumn that I'm like, that's first up. That could be a bit of a not
Yeah.
a that could not a I don't remember what the phrase is.
Not the banana peel.
Banana skin, yeah. It's not a banana skin game because you can never call Australia a banana skin game, but it's one of those games like, depending on what happens close to the time, could be worried. But
I
yeah,
think this is
let's
something
just see what
weird
they
that
do. Let's just see what they do in the Japanese tour, which I didn't actually realize was happening. But
no, I wasn't aware. I knew they had like a game lined up before they play Argentina because New Zealand and South Africa told them both to piss off for the summer.
to do their version of the Lions, yep,
Yeah, but I don't know. We'll see what happens.
yeah.
Um, Fiji. Wow.
So, talk about another disappointing team for this thing in the same way that Italy were.
I don't even
Although,
think we need to deep dive this because it has been horrifically poor. Even the Scotland game where they were winning at half time, they did nothing in the second half.
but again, in the similar way that I said this about to the credit of England, stopping them from playing.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. So
actually,
Scotland played.
I predicted this. I'd like to say that I predicted some of
You
what
did.
happened in this game.
If it got
I
too loose,
said
yeah,
Scotland will go a bit too loose. They might rotate, and Fiji will get a foothold in the game. It's exactly what they did. Scotland
yeah,
then went, no, we've got to bar up, we've got to tighten up. They also had to bring a couple of their more experienced players on a lot sooner than they would have wanted because Gregor suddenly thought, oh shit, we might lose this. Sione, Shui, Scott,
Scott come in.
get on,
Yeah, yeah, go for it, yeah.
get on. Please sort this out. We're not losing this. But yeah, I think that's the Fiji in that first half where they were competitive at the scrum, they were competitive at the breakdown, they were competitive at the line out, they were doing mad, batshit crazy, flying Fijian things. That is what I expect out of Fiji.
Yeah,
That is what I was
100%.
expecting against England, which they just did not do at all. Maybe that is
Nope.
credit to England for just shutting them down because they did exactly what they needed to do. They controlled the game, and Fiji couldn't do anything in the same way that Wales were a bit loose against Fiji, and then we're like, no, 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 we're going to tighten up and we're going to do this, and they got the win over them. It's exactly the same thing. Scotland played too loose, they tightened up, and then they took it to Fiji. But again, I really think that some of this issues that not Scotland that Fiji have been having, I think a lot of the Mick Byrne stuff is just I
Yeah,
really think that that is overshadowing some of it because they did not make those mistakes under Mick Byrne. They were very, very good. So
yeah.
what has happened? I mean, and you were there. Like, how much did it feel like you were at Suva or like in Fiji with all of the
I will. Yeah,
culture
I
aspect?
was going to say. I will say the organizer, and I know that this got a lot of slagging before the tournament
Yeah,
because, like, oh, it's a joke that Fiji aren't getting to play at home. Fiji's
they
stadium is
asked
not.
to.
Yeah, it's not sustainable. Even though we went like last year, but that's beside the point. We're brave enough to do it. You can't do it all the time.
No,
Fiji basically need a new stadium. They're getting a new stadium. So by the time this rolls around next time, or even
hopefully,
it's either I think they're aiming for 2030. So not the next rendition of the Nation Championship, but the following, Fiji will be at home.
yeah. And
But
then
anyway,
also
that's
there might be more teams in as well.
possibly.
We might
But
have Spain in for all we know.
interesting choice. Anyway, yeah, well, whoever organised that for the Wales, for England, and for Scotland, well done because it did truly feel like a Fiji game. When I was there at the weekend, it was so far as Scotland got played first because Scotland were the away team, which was very thrown off. There was no bagpipes; it was played on a brass band, like they do when they're away, because the bagpipes is our thing. Um,
I
they
didn't
had
see that.
they had traditional Fijian dancers and like warriors around the field. The When Fiji came out, it was like a light blue like flare went off. It was the stadium announcer was a different person. It was like a Fijian person as well. Um, when it was like the countdown to kick off, it was like, right, let's get behind your Fiji team, and we're all like, yeah, okay, why not? We're all Fijian today. It's great.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I think that it is sad that Fiji haven't been able to play truly at home because of obviously the infrastructure and the regulations of World Rugby. Because obviously there needs to be a stadium that is capable of holding 25,000 fans.
Yep.
Because it's like what we said. Like, I mean, it is a bit different with the Japan Island game. There should not be 8,000 fans at a tier one rugby nation game. That's ridiculous.
How many? Eighth. Oh, sorry,
Eight.
8,000.
There
It
should not
sounded.
be.
So I heard 80,000. I was like, that's great.
No,
Sorry, sorry.
that's Twickenham like most weeks.
Oh,
Um.
fair enough. Sorry.
Uh. No, it's. yeah, it's I completely understand, and the way that they've opted for it, the amount of money that they've potentially made, I think it's in the millions. Like a lot of money has been made on this tour,
Mm.
and people have been able to appreciate the fact that because bearing in mind there is a big Fijian contingent that is in the UK in Britain because obviously you've got all the army lads who have like served
Yeah,
in the British Army and they've got their families here, and then you've got loads of Fijian kids that have grown up in England and Scotland and Wales because their parent or parents have been part of the armed forces. So maybe they feel English, but then they also see their culture. I think,
yeah.
yeah, I think that there's a lot to be given credit for despite the fact that Fiji have not been able to play at home and they have had to play home away from home. They have made every game possible to be, whilst also not playing in the typical stadiums that even Wales fans would see or England fans would see. They have done brilliantly with what they have been given.
I noticed how you never said Scotland fans earlier.
Well, yeah, I mean that game probably should have been at Hampden rather than Murrayfield, but
But we've got the Commonwealth Games.
of course you do. I completely forgot about that.
And
That will definitely be why.
so people are like, oh, why is it not? I think something messaged me like, why is it not in like Newcastle? I was like, because the pitch is getting refurbished.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Spoiler for you, majority of football teams once the season's finished, they go, right, let's take it up.
Yep, that's very true.
Although there is a little argument here, and it's a little side note. So after Glasgow shut the bed against Bulls
Mm.
in the semi-final of the URC, um, people that work at Murrayfield immediately like started stripping down the joint because of the Zach Bryan concert, which was this whole reason of why if Glasgow advanced, they wouldn't be at Murrayfield. But come round to this weekend, pitch was nice, the sticks were up. I'm like, you could have obviously done it. And then the minute the Fiji game finished, yeah, cool, let's strip it because we've got Luke Combs, which I am going to. Just side note, I am buzzing for that. But
Oh, that'd be cool.
yeah, I immediately stripped it. I was like, if you can do it that quick, I feel like you could have done that. But that's a sign. It just kind of when I noticed it, I was like, okay. But anyway, yeah, God for Fiji. But hey, they're getting money. They'll get a stadium. They'll be back home sooner rather than later. And when that day comes, oh my God, it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, I reckon it'll be like reminiscent of one New Zealand stadium as well.
Yes, the Fiji Water National Stadium. I don't know why I said Fiji. I couldn't think of a brand.
It's their main sponsor.
The Suva Bank National Stadium. Fuck it. Yeah, that works too.
Yeah, just get someone to give you loads of money for the stadium rights.
Money.
Or if you
Um,
really want money, get Allianz to to put money in, and it'll be the Allianz Suva Stadium, or the Allianz Suva Arena, or the Allianz Suva Hippodrome.
what's
To
a
give it,
hippodrome?
it's
What is
like
that?
it's like where they used to race horses in Greece, like the big like oval
Ah,
sort of. So it's like a cool name for like the Flying Fijians, or the Flying Alliance Suva Stadium, just
no.
so they can give them like a load of money for naming rights, and then all of a sudden it's like, right, let's invest.
It's not a bad show. There's worse ideas, to be fair.
Yeah, Alliance, if you're listening, go invest in Fijian
Yeah,
rugby.
just
You
give
won't
them the money.
regret it. Give them loads of money. But to slightly pivot towards Scotland, which I think we kind of like hybridise in what we've been speaking about anyway.
Hmm. Yeah, good
Oh wow,
solid.
that must have been nervy in the first half,
It
and then
was
the second
never.
half, you're like, oh okay, our boys have got it. Schumann, what a
I
guy!
think the minute we took the lead, we were like, we're not losing this again. We're kind of
Yeah,
like this.
yeah,
And
no,
again, speaking from the Argentina game, where we had to learn from our mistakes, where we didn't capitalize against South Africa, we took that into the Fiji game.
yeah,
When we had a hold of the game, we couldn't let it go, which was what we did against South Africa.
yeah,
Awesome. So we are learning from our mistakes and fixing it immediately. Lovely stuff.
yeah. That
But
that's
overall, this summer's been amazing. I will say that for Scotland.
yeah. I think it's really. I think it's put a lot of the Gregor doubters to bed in a large way. I do think that for me, there are still questions about can Scotland compete at the very highest level when you talk about like against the South Africa, and then obviously there is still the critique of there may not be enough like quality type five depth in the squad,
Mm.
but like you've got well, it looks like that it was either that you weren't going to overly push Finn, or you were just going to give like guys like Fergus Burke and Tom Jordan more time in the saddle. So in a way, trying to future proof, like give people an opportunity. Because even if Finn like goes down in the World Cup, you've now got Fergus Burke and Tom Jordan who have performed
Yeah,
in an away environment to like go, okay, right,
yeah, yeah.
we'll be okay. So yeah, I think there's a lot to be deserved. I still think that at times, and this is one of the things that I why I predicted it, at times Scotland is still a bit of a slave to the no, we want to play multi-phase, we want to play coast to coast, we want to play with the ball in hand. And I
We
think
are.
that it that needs to evolve slightly because you can't always do that. You do have to bar up in rugby.
There
Whereas
is
like
one issue I have with Scotland, and it's not going to change. But if we can use it in our favour, I'm all for it. We don't stick to our guns. Like we will change the bench setup accordingly to who we're against, and that. And I'm like, why are we doing that? Like, why are we so fit? Like, there was rumors that we were going to go 7-1 against the Box. I was like, why? Why was this a thing? We didn't. We went.
it's not your strength.
Do you know what I mean? It's not exactly. It's not our thing. So why are we trying to do it? And it was like the whole like fight fire with fire. I was like, you get burnt.
I
That's the
must have
moral of the story.
I must have missed that 7-1 thing with Scotland because I don't remember seeing that.
It was just the one article I read about it, but I was just like, the fact that that was even like, should we just do it? No.
I
But anyway,
mean, if there's a team that could get away with doing 7-1 now, it's England.
I did do a video the other day of could Scotland do a 7-1, and in theory, yes, we could.
Well, Bayliss can play on the wing. That's one back rower.
Yeah, so I think I did it like,
Adobe can play nine and wing.
well,
So
I had Dobie starting, and
that's actually almost better.
I had like, I think it was either Tom Jordan or Blair Kinghorn as the 23, as the only back on the bench
I
because they
mean,
cover so many other positions.
well, Blair left wing, fullback, 10.
Tom
TJ,
Jordan, TJ
or
literally covers every position bar scrum half.
has he played on the wing?
Yeah,
I don't think I'd want to see him on the wing.
it's not what I would want to see, but the fact he can makes that discussion a wee bit easier.
Well, it's a bit like well
But I also did it the
it's
way
like
like
Damien Willemse, like he can play on the wing, but he's so wasted there.
no, but I think the way I did it was like Kyle Rowe would be at fullback. So if Dobie's moving to scrum half, Kyle Rowe moves out to the wing, Tom Jordan or Blair Kinghorn moves. You've also then I said Rory Hutchinson because he's been there this summer. He can
12,
play.
13 fullback and 10,
Yeah,
arguably,
yeah. Kyle Steyn can also play fullback. Not many know that. He could also
and
play the
13.
centre. Yeah, he was a 13 when he came to Glasgow. But yeah, so the theory is yes, we could do a 7-1. Should we? Probably not.
Not against the box.
Not against the Box. Somebody has said do it against the All Blacks, and I'm like, maybe, sure, why not? And then I'm like, wait, no, don't do that. And I get in my own head about it.
I mean, I just don't love a 7-1 anyway, to be completely honest.
All right, Matt Williams.
No, 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 no. I just think it's not. I just think it's like what I said earlier. Rugby is an evasion game, and if you just completely take
Yeah,
away the
no, I
space,
know.
you take away from what rugby is at its heart, a set piece evasion game for all shapes and sizes, as long as you're huge.
Fair. But yeah, Scotland overall this summer, fantastic.
They're second in the table. That's impressive.
Yeah, we are.
Could have been joint first if they'd got within seven of South Africa, which they were at one point before the Jesse Creel
Yeah,
drop.
I mean, if we went balls to the wall and stunned the world, we'd be top of the table. So
with
like,
with
we're
15.
this
Yeah,
close. We are this close.
closing the gap. Yeah, and that's the positive thing. You're closing the gap. So who knows? Maybe next year it's Scotland's year in the Six Nations.
Don't do that. Don't do that to me.
It's a long
I'm,
time. We can wait
I'm
until we talk about that properly.
I was going to say I am fixated on what's next for Scotland, and it is to
Who?
get
Okay,
over that.
okay, okay. Fine. Let me rephrase. Maybe you can finish first. Maybe you can beat the All Blacks and finish first in the Nations Championship, and
I don't
then
even care
I
about
will watch. I
championship.
will watch Scotland play at Twickenham against whoever finishes first
I don't
because
even
I
care
am
about
going to the
championship.
finals weekend.
I will. I'm planning on being there. I just don't know what day yet.
I'll be there on the Sunday to watch first and fourth.
We'll see if I get to work it as newly appointed Scottish correspondent.
Hey, there we go.
But yeah, no, I'm overall I'm very happy with Scotland's performances this summer. We gave a good battle against the Box. We got a lot of respect and credit from that. We smashed Argentina and got our revenge there, and we get a comeback victory against Fiji. Probably shouldn't have been against Fiji of all teams, but nonetheless, 26 unanswered points. It's a good win in my books.
Exactly. You have faced adversity and you have played three very different teams away from home in horrible places to go, loads of travel, and you have managed to, if not change your style of play, maybe give your team a load more confidence in belief in themselves. And that might mean that they're like, okay, we can do things like this now. Let's change it.
Yeah, and just keep building from it. We've got the confidence there. We've got the skills. We've got. Hey, we even sort of got the physicality. We can bang. We can go for it. But hey, we'll see. We've got 106 days till our next game.
Oof,
I didn't do quick math there. That answer's there, and it starts on a Friday. We start on a Saturday, so there you
fair
go.
enough.
But anyway, moving on. The reigning, defending world champions, undefeated this summer, put 40 on every single opponent. The mighty Springboks. Again, we
Six,
said it at the start. Their depth is on God mode. It is on an entire different level to everyone else, and it's terrifying.
like, I think it said that Rassi has used like 62, 63, 64, maybe even 67 odd players.
Already?
Yep, this year.
Bloody hell.
I mean, it's basically largely it was. This is the thing, like, because we were talking about what our team of the tournament would be, and I almost didn't include a lot of South Africans because my parameters were you either have to play two games at the minimum,
Yeah, yeah, I'm the same.
and or like you have to play all three. But like Thomas the
So
Toy played
so
one game.
Paul de Villiers is in my team for the South because he was fantastic.
Yes, he was brilliant. But then
But
Peter Steph Toy played in all of them. Jesse Krill played in all of them. I think
Jesse
Willemse
Cruz,
played in all
Jesse
of
Cruz on my
them.
team.
Yeah, but
Willem
it's like it.
Sara. But the thing is, they also then didn't half of them didn't even play the same positions each week, which makes
Yeah.
that conversation a bit more difficult. So
Well, let's
like
put
I
it this way:
never
Cheslin Colby played once. He played against England. He goal kicked against England. He scored a
yeah,
try against England, and then didn't play for the rest of the thing. Yako Williams was playing, or Aronson was playing, or Edwill van der Merwe was playing. Like, literally, I'm listing out so many different scrum cap wingers. I'm like, who's next? Like, is there another one of yous? Where have you
probably
been? Where have you been genetically engineering these guys? Like, what's going on? Oh,
guaranteed.
there's another scrum cap little winger come out of another township in South Africa. What the hell's going on here? What are you doing, guys?
I'm
But
gonna say that
like even
I
the tight
guarantee there's
heads,
three
like
coming through. Oh,
yeah,
tight
like
head. That's ridiculous. It's
Carl
not.
Itzardi getting his debut, Thomas Dutoy playing one game, Vilko Low, and Blimmin, what's the other one? Zachary Porthan played one game. I
Yeah,
think like
born,
ridiculous.
born,
I mean,
born
Malcolm
better.
Marks is key to them, though. I will say, like if they don't know Malcolm Marks, they're a bit apart from Grobler, they're a bit thin there, really. But even all the locks that they have had injured, like and you got Ruan Nokia stepping up really well. Cobus Visa has had a good tournament.
Yeah,
Um, who
it's on.
else?
We
Ruben
could
van
sit here
Heerden,
all day.
like
Genuinely,
Van
we could
Heerden.
sit here all day praising the depth of the box, and I still don't think we'd have enough time. because
No.
it's unreal. Thing is, it's like, what do we learn from this? There's
Even
the bench.
when they play crap in a hard stadium to play in,
They know how to get wins. They know how to win. They know how to grit out a game. Awesome. I wish
exactly.
I had half of that.
Yeah. It's yeah,
And against
they just what Rassie and Felix Jones and Jerry Flannery and Tony Brown and all of those guys have done to create that environment and that system and that belief. It's just they are they're just I don't think we've ever seen a team with this much depth ever play
not
rugby.
this comfortably anyway.
No, not this comfortably. That's what I mean by like having depth and having player pool. And they have incredible depth with their player pool and their structures are just brilliant. And to be honest, I don't think there is too much more we can say about it. Not because we don't
No,
want to talk
it's a
about it.
short and
It's
sweet.
just because
I've
well
got to
done, South Africa. You are just that good. And
you
you
tick
are
every single box.
probably the favourites to win this tournament come November, unless somebody can really surprise everyone, really.
I mean, right now I don't see a surprise coming,
No.
truthfully. But again,
But they
anything
do.
can
But
happen.
to be fair to with South Africa, they have a tough go of it in terms of their fixtures in November because they've got to go to Dublin and
Yep.
they've got to play France.
Yeah.
So they've got and then I think it's Italy they have to play. So they can play against Italy and will most likely win. But then you have to go to Dublin where yes you got the win last year, but you did have a very bad record at. I'm not saying that's going to affect them now, but for all we know,
Yeah.
they could lose there. I'm not saying they will. They could. Ireland could suddenly like switch on and do something. Or France. France at home, they won't want to be embarrassed again. So potentially they will bar up for that game and will could do something incredible. So as much as we think that they are far ahead, I'm not completely writing off other teams because then even let's say that in the final they then have to play, say, England have an unbelievable autumn where we win all three games and then we finish top, and then they have to then play us at Twickenham, and we want revenge, and we are red hot form. Like it's not a guarantee that they are going to win. It's just incredibly likely that they are
I mean, we play better at Twickenham than used to.
against us. Yes.
That's the only time we do
uh,
it.
yeah. But anyway, yeah. Full credit to South Africa
Yeah, absolutely.
and
Wales.
Wales. They are so much
Hmm.
better than what they have been. They just could not cope with it on the day.
Yeah, I think that's fair as
That's
well.
the best way I can say. Although I do question some of the selection choices. I'm not convinced by Ben Thomas and Max Llewellyn, despite being a big piece of kit, doesn't seem like he's using it all the time properly. So
Hmm.
again, I I think I might have seen Dan Bigger talking about this that are Wales persistent in having a second ball player at 12, or do they want to try and find a Jamie Roberts esque player to play there? Well, you've got three options, really. You could put Max Llewellyn at 12 and have him crash. You could have played Eddie James at 12 and have him do that, or Bryn Bradley, who they didn't take. So
Yeah,
I think that there's an element of do Wales want to play with two ball players at 10 and 12, or do they need to be a bit more direct? But let's put it this way. It was very Welsh in the sense that they never said die. They kept going, they kept trying, they were
yeah.
trying to bar up, and they're just, quite frankly, they're not good enough to beat South Africa. They're nowhere near them. And that's
But
not a
no,
bad thing to say.
at
They
this
just are
point,
not.
no one's good enough. So it's not. Don't take that to heart, Wales fans.
No,
That's no one's
I
good
think
enough. Fine.
on the whole, I think Wales can be happy about a lot of stuff. They beat Fiji, and we all thought that could
Smash
have been
Fiji.
a banana's a skin, and they did really well. Their driving lineup looks great. Reece Carey
Mhm.
looked great in like the try scoring thing. Yeah, they need to sort out the scrum a bit, but you're also
Oh,
playing South Africa.
yeah.
It was bad, but the only team that South Africa haven't done that to is England. But we all know that England is probably the second best scrum in the world, realistically. It's the only
Okay.
team. It's the only team that South Africa have not dominated in the scrum this tournament. I don't think they really got any joy out of it against
I
us.
think we've been back.
So for Wales, I think they were unlucky against Argentina. I will say, like some of the refereeing decisions in that game were questionable,
Yeah.
but they also let it slip to a bit of an extent. But it's a learning curve. And then
Mhm.
having to go to South Africa after that, and yeah, but let's put it this way. They were 30 points better off this time. So hopefully next time, South Africa only win 13-0. And then after that, Wales can win. Because I think I
I've
saw
seen,
that
I've seen,
graphic on ball carrier. But
I've seen that going around. Yeah, I was like,
yeah, it's quite.
I love the logic. Can't beat that. But you know what? Yeah, Wales. You can hold your heads held high because you just went for it, and you went for it in every game.
You've done better than Italy. You've done better than Fiji, largely.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Arguably, you've had a better go of it than Japan. Arguably.
If we're doing it right now, because it's first versus first, X, Y, and Z, it would be Wales versus Japan. Now that's tasty. That's a fun game.
That's a good game. That's in the sense of this is why I like the format of fifth, fifth, sixth, sixth,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
third, third, because then it's like, okay, you can kind of go like, all right, that's the order of teams or what have you. So it's definitely interesting. I think there are
Mhm.
still some flaws with this competition, to be honest. But
Travel was a nightmare. But
I think the travel element is bad. But the problem is the Northern Hemisphere is not used to this much travel in comparison to the Southern Hemisphere.
oh yeah, the
So,
rugby sevens that do it all the time.
but also if you think about it, when all the Southern Hemisphere teams come up north,
Yeah.
you can drive from London to Wales in 6 hours.
I don't
You
recommend
can
it.
fly. You can fly You can fly from London to Edinburgh in one. You can fly to Paris in one. You can fly to Italy in two. So realistically, when they come over here, the travel aspect not that bad. Is all I'm going to say.
They probably come here and be like, why are they moaning about travel?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Wales much improved. They
Yep.
are so much better than what they have been. Still a bit of teething issues, still need to improve, but I think they will get there. And it will be interesting to see because who are they playing in the autumn? It's New Zealand, it's
Yeah, so
Australia,
they start,
and
fun
Japan.
enough, they start off against Japan. Their first game back in Cardiff is Japan. Then they take on the All Blacks, who will be pissed off after they got beat by Scotland. And then they round off against Australia. And we don't know what that Australia team is going to look like because it's new
We've got
management.
no clue what that Australia team is going to be.
Although if
That
it was
makes me
Joe,
worried, though. That's what makes me worried is that
yeah,
they're
going
unpredictable.
into the unknown is terrifying against any team. Two more teams. We'll start with the. I can't even call them the pantomime villain because no one likes them right now. They
No,
have. They have you. I'm going to take the wheel on this because you might get to going too deep.
I could be all right. I can be fine. I can be
No, you
professional.
can't. Don't lie to me.
I've had my 72 hours. I can say this in a manner that is a professional accusation.
He says this and then went on a tangent before we recorded, so I don't think he's telling the truth.
There was no tangent there. There was no tangent at all.
But yeah, if we don't know what we're on about Argentina, who lost basically all forms of sportsmanship across the board in the space of 24 hours. What happened at the football? I'm not even a big football fan, and I'm like, what are you doing? And this, what happened at full time, of what I will say was a good game of rugby. It was a very
It was
entertaining game of rugby from a
shit
neutral
crazy
point of
game.
view. It was nuts. It was absolutely unreal. But from what happened after it, it stole the limelight for all the wrong reasons. I don't care what team you support. I don't care how you feel if you were robbed or whatever. You do not go after a referee. You do not surround a referee because at the end of the day, the referee's decision is final, whether you like it or not. And that is the end of it. That is the whole thing rugby is built on. Sorry, sir. Thank you, sir. Good game, sir. That's it. There's no, oh, what the fuck is this? You've just robbed us. You've done. I'm like, shut up. Shut up. And I think I said it to you. Like, back at the Scotland Australia game from 2015, which we don't talk about. Also, it was 11 years ago. We can move on. Still a touchy subject, but you know what I mean, right? If there was ever a time to swarm a referee, it would have been that, and that never happened. I'm just saying, there's a way to conduct yourself. Yes, you can be pissed off. Any team that loses any game in any fashion is pissed off at full time, regardless. Regardless if you've been thumped, beaten by a missed kick, beaten by a controversial TMO decision, that whatever the reason is, you've been defeated. Feel pissed off. Go and sit in the change rooms. Sulk for half an hour to an hour. Go again next week. Obviously, international rugby is different, but the point still stands. And I'm very interested to see what happens with Thomas Albornoz in particular, because World Rugby have came out and said we are going to deal with him, and it's basically that's all they've said. Now, I know players get sanctioned for very different stuff all the time. I've never seen a public letter like that regarding of, by the way, we are going to deal with him. It kind of just goes all hush hush until whatever ban it is, and then it comes out and we're like, oh, fair enough, or that's a bit harsh. But the fact that World Rugby's came out and went, we are going to deal with this, I'm like, ah, you're in trouble. You're in serious trouble. And I know Harry was on about there was a punch, I believe, to Tommy Freeman regarding Alvarez. That's not been dealt with, but it might be dealt with in a different disciplinary hearing. The fact that World Rugby, like I've just said, has come out and went, that's unacceptable, and we will be dealing with it accordingly. Like, oh, the fact there's a warning before this comes out tells me you're in a lot of trouble. And you could make the case that some other Argentinians should be in trouble. I don't think you can host another game there. Not Argentina as a whole, that particular venue, because that was so hostile, and it's just not how rugby should be. Like, I'm all up for a bit of give and take, and oh, these two teams don't like each other. But see when it becomes like politically fronted, or oh, this happened 40 years ago. Let's wear a kit to take the piss. Shut up! Like, who actually cares that much? Like, you can't have that much. Like, bear in mind, I'm Scottish, Harry's English. We should not get along. We should not. And yet, we got on very well. I think the only time we don't properly speak is the Calcutta Cup. And even then, I messaged you directly after the game. I didn't take the piss. I don't recall. I kind of went, hard luck, mate. And that's because he's a friend of mine. But it's just so stupid. Like, I've never seen any other team bring out of, and I will say I did actually like the kit before I found out what it was for. I actually seen that, I was like, oh, that's quite nice. But seeing that and how they've dealt with it and how they've reacted after the game, and Connor Pomey throwing his toys out the pram after another press conference, I'm like, right, what is going on? These are just very sore losers across the board, and you need to fix that because I, for one, actually like watching Argentinian rugby. They have fantastic players, for the most part, very underrated and underappreciated players. But then you do stupid shit like this, and it just leaves everyone with a very bad taste. And there's no place for it in life, not just rugby. So get a grip, and that's all I really have to say on that.
I mean, to build on what you said, I think Argentina were a disgrace. I think their fans were disgraceful for throwing things at the referee. I think that
Yep.
Albanos was a disgrace because he struck Tommy Freeman in the face. You can very clearly see it. He
Mm.
threw the ball. Um, he threw the ball to uh, when Angus Gardner said the game was done. He made contact with the referee. Um, Delgi as well got in the referee's face, which was disgrace. Mateo Carreras was constantly being a wind up the entire game. Disgrace. Contepomi is a disgrace because this is not the first time he has behaved in this manner. That is not how a head coach of a nation should behave. The fact that Argentina put England in a stadium that was in the middle of nowhere and forced them to play there for to try and make them travel as much as possible to do whatever it is that they're doing. Disgrace. The entire thing was a complete, utter farce. It was
Yep.
completely anti-rugby. It was politically charged. It was the whole thing was made completely ridiculous. All the talk about the Falkland Islands, the kit, everything. It was a complete and utter mockery of rugby values and what our game should be about. And it just coincided horribly with the way that they behaved against England in the football, because that was definitely a motivator as well, and then the day after, how they behaved in the World Cup final as well in the football. In a space of a week, every single bit of goodwill that I have ever had towards Argentinian football or rugby has gone out the window. It's not to say that the Harlequins players who are um, Argentinian, I didn't have a problem with any of them. I thought some of them had brilliant games. I didn't see them do anything at all, apart from being at Chirpsy. But then everyone was Chirpsy. But
Yeah.
I really hope that World Rugby throw the absolute book. I hope there is fines for Contepomi. I hope that Albanos gets a big old ban because he is also being punished under the new committee for abuse of referees. So that's why they're taking it so seriously. I hope that Delgui gets a ban, to be completely honest, because his behaviour was also shocking. It was just a complete, utter disgrace to the game of rugby. And I really, really just think that there needs to be punishment for it. Get that out of the game entirely.
Yep.
Because
I agree.
this is why New Zealand have a no dickheads policy. Like they have no dickheads
Yeah,
policy
it's
to
literally
stop that happening. South Africa, people have sometimes accused them in the past of being like big brutes and thugs and whatever. They don't do that. Georgia have historically been big bastards who are horrible. They don't do that either. Yes, there's an element of rugby that is a bit like, oh, public school boy, yes, sir, three bags full, sir. No, 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 we can't be doing anything like that because that's obviously where rugby has originated from. That's why the values are there in the game. But don't take a complete mockery piss of it as they have done. And I really, really just it's annoying because I've loved seeing the growth of Argentinian rugby, beating the All Blacks multiple times, beating South
Mhm.
Africa, beating Australia, how competitive they've been. And the games are always horrible between England and Argentina because they're so charged, but they're great spectacles. But this game was ruined because of it. Like the discipline, the the attitude, and we're not even talking about the game properly because if I'm going to bring England into this as well as talking about Argentina, that England was showing that they actually have a bit about them now that we've got a great set piece. We're solidifying positions more. We've got more established centre partnerships that seem to be working. Our back three is like getting more there. Marcus is deputising at nine again. You've got Slady playing 10, like he's played 15 at times in positions. You've got Manny Faye just being unfucking playable. But then all of these things that I want to appreciate about how England are improving and are getting there, and yes, aren't at this level with like a France, South Africa, or New Zealand, are maybe about here, and then you've got Ireland and Scotland and a couple of others here as well. I can't really talk about England in a positive manner because of how horrible that game was. And that's not what I want to be talking about.
The issue is it's going to get worse before it gets better as well. And like
Potentially, yeah.
obviously the players are going to be dealt with accordingly. But I'm on about just the next time Argentina play England is going to be messy.
Yep, there's a chance it could happen in the finals weekend, depending on where each team finishes. I think at the minute England would play Australia, and then I think Ireland would play Argentina.
Yeah, as
But
of right now, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
But all that
but
can change very quickly.
I just think I'm now worried that the next time England Argentina actually play a game, there's going to be a red card. Like someone's going to get sent off for a punch or something.
I'm actually wanting you to not touch until maybe the World Cup. I don't even feel like that's long enough.
How long ban did you say again?
I never said anything about it. I don't want England and Argentina to play
No,
each other.
I don't want to see an England Argentina game for a long time. But the problem is too much politics and outside noise has got involved in this match, and it has ultimately turned into an ugly affair,
Yeah,
which it should never have been.
but
The only thing that does make me happy is that a lot of the lads who play in England, like Boris Wenger and Marcus Smith, swap shirts. Lovely to see. Santi
mhm.
Carreras was taking pictures with all the Bath boys. He was saying hi to his like Gloucester mate in Seb Atkinson. So Guido Petty and Pedro Delgado, to the best of my knowledge, was there. Julian Montoya would have like been like all the niggle, really. And I'm not blaming specific
Two or three
players, and I'm
players
not.
that
They two or three players stick in my mind for how bad they have been.
yeah,
Carreras, Mateo, Delgi, Albanos,
yeah.
and then a couple of others. But like even like, but yeah, but like a lot of the English-based lads who play for Argentina and play in England were snipe, were lippy, were like chirping, were like but they weren't the problem. Like Julian Montoya is the farthest. It's why I'm happy that he's captain because he's the furthest from what he'll do a bit of shithousery, like he'll say, "Should I speak in Afrikaans?" But that's about it. He's not going to go and do the things that he's not going to go and
Yeah,
do
yeah.
the
No,
things
no,
that the other players did.
no, no.
But but yeah,
I'm
I
gonna
think
try.
that's about
I'm gonna try and swing away from this now because I feel like it's so loaded and so fresh, and I'm not saying it's not important. It is because there's no place for it. How do we rate Argentina's summer? Poor because they
poor,
got beat. They got
poor.
beat by
They
Scotland. They barely, really,
beat
barely beat
Wales,
Wales.
yeah.
And then
Disgraced themselves against England.
considering everything going into the game, and you still, and even ignoring the aftermath, all the build up to like we're gonna fucking get them, and you couldn't do it.
Yep. I mean, we've not even talked about the refereeing decision at the end of the game, but I mean, in my opinion, that, and I am biased, I will say, I can understand if Angus Gardner had not said to the TMO, "I'm happy with the tackle," they might have reviewed the tackle. Noah Kalori one where he is high, he grabs his shoulder, but realistically, I don't think that you could call it as bad as a high tackle because Delgi still is moving forward. He breaks the contact. It might stop him for half a second. I still think Henry Slade would have got there to make the tackle. So again, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. The grounding was not done in the field of play. So realistically, that's not really a fit. So that's another aspect of it not being a try. But
But even that, like
the biggest
again,
issue, I think, was the Calori tackle. And if they had given that as a penalty and then Argentina reset and went again, I could have lived with that. It just for me wasn't a try in the way that it was not grounded.
I just don't get because
But
even if you
for
take
those
us from
saying it should have been a penalty try, I don't agree.
Messi game, Messi into a wonderful summer of rugby. But as for England, you know what? 2 out of 3 wins, considering you were coming into that Fiji game, 6 defeats on the spin. Borthwick had his head on a plate almost, and for the most part, I think he's turned it around. I don't think he's particularly safe. I don't think he's
I don't think
guaranteed.
you're ever safe as England head coach.
No, but you've turned it around. You're third. got a good autumn coming ahead.
I think that we can win at least two of our games in the autumn, and I think
Mhm.
now Finn Smith looks like he's the 10. Marcus
Yep.
seems to be getting more comfortable at 15, but that's the thing. England are missing players. We're missing Marrow, we're missing Finn Baxter, we're missing Will Stewart, and arguably those guys are who would be in a 23. Furbank
Absolutely.
didn't play, who we all want to see. We've now got a more established centre partnership in Seb Atkinson and Henry Slade, with Jancy van Rensburg also in the mix, who, by the way, died for the badge, knocked himself the fuck out, but was great.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
loved it because it means that he's not just there for the money, he does truly care, which again, BV, if you ever see this,
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, that's to you. Welcome to England, my friend. Get a passport, then you can really be British. Slight joke there, but that's only because the Scottish
Easy.
boys have done it as well, and the Irish one.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's yeah, I think there's positives to take, but I still think there's a long way to go. I think we're stepping in the right
100%.
direction. England just need to retain that consistency, and we need to like really start to go forward with it. And yeah, we just need to build on it, and hopefully we will
Yeah.
do that. Hopefully we continue to expand our game through the multi-phase play because we can do it. We have got the players to do it, but let's retain our set pieces going well. I I still question the decision to make Jamie George captain. I think Ollie Chesham should have been captain the entire time, but he had plenty of experience doing it as well. The biggest issue is, because we have to mention it, is discipline. Discipline needs to be better. We've had like 14 yellow cards this year. We've played 13-man rugby twice. That needs to improve. That's a non-negotiable. And until that is figured out, we can't elevate ourselves to be the next level, and we will never win anything if we can't sort out
Sure.
our discipline. So that
Well,
needs to be sorted.
yeah.
Hopefully, the coaches are doing what they need to do to make sure that we are effectively combating that.
Hmm.
I mean, I've made the joke to you several times that if you get Sean Edwards in, that discipline's gone in a second. But then you're moving around another
Yeah.
defence coach and Richard
I know.
Wigglesworth. What does he then do then? Does he then become kick strategy coach? It's like, great, more shuffling around. But yeah, I I just think that's the thing, that for England to go to the next level, cut the discipline, like cut the yellow cards out, sort it out, figure
Yep.
out why you're always conceding penalties when you're under pressure, because that's largely what it is. It's not individual mistakes, it's cumulative error. And then I think we'll be in a much, much better place.
Only 105 days till we'll do it all again. Um,
105 days.
it's been a good summer overall. I'm just going to round this up quickly because we have gone over the 90-minute mark. We do apologise, but we did it differently this week. Um, we're going to try something next week for the next episode. Not going to call it an official episode, but stay tuned for that. We're going to figure that out. We have got the greatest rivalry tour coming up, Scotland, England. I mean, sorry, South Africa, All Blacks, greatest rivalry
Sorry,
ever.
I think we meant oldest for England Scotland, because obviously
Older, yeah.
without England Scotland there would be no New Zealand South Africa rivalry.
All I'm going to say on it is I'm looking forward to it, and that's even if it's. I think it's on Premier Sport over here, so I don't even know all the ins and outs.
I did
But
not
you know
know
what?
that.
I don't even know how true that is. Some people have said
Oh,
ITV, some have said Sky Sports, some have said Premier Sports. I'm like, cool. Can somebody just?
I would assume Sky, simply because Sky typically get the summer rugby, and the rugby championship is typically
Sky.
Sky
Yeah,
as
that's.
well. But hey, I
But
have Premier
who
Sports. I'm
knows?
fine.
Yeah, I'm grand, regardless. Anyway, but yeah, rugby is rugby. I don't know if we're going to do a deep episodic thing about the greatest rivalry tour because again, we're not South African, we're not New Zealanders. We like rugby, but I don't know if we could deep dive it like we have. But we'll see what
The,
happens. We'll
the,
see what's done.
the deepest dive I could make right now is saying that, so, as good as New Zealand have been, they've not been challenged aerially, and that's something that I think that South Africa could really go after New Zealand, because I don't think they have necessarily shown
how good their aerial game is, and that was their weakness under the Razor administration. So that, if you want a bit of a tactical nous, there's that.
I don't know how I
Kick
feel about the
strategy
four
may come
games.
into it.
I don't personally. This is where I'll leave it. I don't like the idea that it's 4 games and it's not 3. So you could effectively have it be 2. I'll be we've learned nothing.
Wait, it's 4.
I'm sure it's
I thought it
4,
was 3.
unless one of
Oh,
them's like a
I know that they're
Springbok
playing like the
team.
Lions and the Sharks and the
Yeah,
Stormers and
yeah.
everything, but I thought they were
I'm,
playing 3 games, like
no,
a
I'm sure.
Lions series.
I'm no, I'm sure it's 4 tests. I could be wrong, but if I've read it the way I think I have. But anyway, we'll be back next week. We'll be going to do something a little different next week. And we do hope to have some interviews coming out in the near future as well. So stay tuned to that. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on TikTok. Yeah, it's been the Nations Championship Southern Hemisphere series done, dusted. Can't wait for the November before we do it all again. And yeah, see you next time.